Beneath the quiet hills of the Owl Mountains in southwestern Poland lies one of the most mysterious and ominous remnants of Nazi Germany's ambitions during World War II. Known as Project Ries, German for giant, this vast underground complex was carved into the rock by forced laborers under the direction of the SS and organization Todt. Shrouded in secrecy, its true purpose remains debated to this day. Was it a subterranean military headquarters for Hitler, a last-stand fortress, or a secret laboratory for advanced weapons? Initiated in 1943, Project Ries was one of the Third Reich's most ambitious and costly endeavors, involving a network of tunnels, bunkers, and chambers stretching across 7 known locations, including beneath the majestic Książ Castle. Thousands of concentration camp prisoners, primarily from Gross Rosen, died in its construction, leaving behind tunnels haunted by silence and suffering. This documentary journeys into the shadows of history, combining archival footage, eyewitness accounts, and modern-day investigations to unravel the enigma of Project Ries. What was so vital that the Nazis would commit such enormous resources amid a losing war? And why, 80 years later, do so many of its secrets remain buried underground? Prepare to explore the dark, unfinished legacy hidden beneath Europe's forests. By 1943, the tides of World War II were turning against Nazi Germany. Following catastrophic defeats at Stalingrad and in North Africa, Adolf Hitler and his inner circle became increasingly obsessed with securing the Reich from both internal collapse and external invasion. Allied bombing campaigns were intensifying, decimating German cities and military infrastructure. Hitler's leadership grew increasingly paranoid, fearing assassination, invasion, and the crumbling morale within his ranks. In response, the Nazis turned to the mountains for sanctuary and to secrecy for salvation. The Owl Mountains, situated in Lower Silesia, then part of Germany, now southwestern Poland, offered a strategic location. Their remote, rugged terrain made them ideal for constructing secure facilities far from the reach of Allied bombers. The nearby Książ Castle, already under Nazi control, was seen as a potential command center for the Führer himself. Within this context, Project Ries was born, an unprecedented effort to carve a subterranean network of bunkers, tunnels, and reinforced chambers into the mountainside. According to surviving documents and testimonies, the complex was envisioned as a secure headquarters for Hitler and his high command. It may also have included production facilities for advanced weapons and storage for plundered treasure or critical archives. The involvement of Organization Todt and the SS underlines the project's high priority within Nazi leadership. But secrecy ruled the operation. No official blueprints were ever found, and many records were deliberately destroyed as the war came to an end. The strategic need for Ries remains clear. Its intended function, however, still fuels debate among historians and explorers alike. The exact origins of Project Ries, which means giant in German, remain cloaked in secrecy. But evidence suggests that it was conceived in 1943 at the height of Germany's desperation. The project was authorized by the highest levels of the Nazi regime, possibly with direct input from Adolf Hitler himself. Its execution fell under the jurisdiction of Organization Todt, a military engineering group responsible for monumental infrastructure works, including the Atlantic Wall and autobahns. The SS also played a prominent role, ensuring security and overseeing forced labor. Construction began in several locations throughout the Owl Mountains region, including the slopes of Mount Wodars, Mount Osowka, and the grounds surrounding Książ Castle. These remote sites were selected for their defensibility, geographic isolation, and natural cover. Tunnel entrances were carefully concealed, and construction was shielded from aerial reconnaissance. To meet the enormous manpower demands, the Nazis exploited thousands of prisoners from the nearby Gross Rosen concentration camp. These individuals, mainly Jews, Poles, Russians and other occupied peoples endured horrific conditions, forced to dig through solid rock with minimal equipment, food, or rest. Many died from starvation, disease, or execution. The exact scope of the project remains a mystery. Some estimates suggest over 9 kilometers of tunnels were excavated, but many areas are still inaccessible or unexplored. No official name was given to the full complex. Reese was a code word, and its purpose was never fully disclosed. The sheer scale and secrecy of Reese hinted at an ambition far greater than conventional military planning. What were the Nazis truly building deep beneath the mountains? Project Reese wasn't confined to a single site. It was a network of massive underground complexes carved into the Owl Mountains, Gory Soe, and beneath the historic Książ Castle in Lower Silesia, present-day Poland. At least 7 major construction sites have been identified. Osowka, Włodarz, Rzeczka, Sobon, Sokolek, Jugowiec Górny, and the subterranean expansions beneath Książ Castle. Each site contained tunnel systems, chambers, and multi-level galleries, built using explosives and hand tools in brutal conditions. The largest and most advanced locations, such as Osowka and Włodarz, contain reinforced concrete structures, rail tracks, and extensive ventilation shafts, suggesting they were intended for long-term use. Some tunnels are wide enough to accommodate tanks or rail cars, pointing to military and logistical planning. The purpose of these facilities remains speculative. Theories include secret weapons factories, underground headquarters for Nazi leadership, and even storage for looted art and treasure. The Książ Castle complex was particularly unusual. It involved modifying a centuries-old castle into a command center with elevators and tunnels descending deep beneath its foundations. The Nazi elite had earmarked the castle for a major role in the Third Reich's future, perhaps even as a secondary Führer headquarters. Despite the collapse of Nazi Germany, most of these structures remain unfinished. No blueprints or definitive plans were ever recovered, adding to the mystery. Post-war Soviet and Polish investigations uncovered evidence of large-scale construction, but many sections are still sealed, inaccessible, or lost to time. The true extent of Reese's reach is still unknown and may never be fully uncovered. At the heart of Project Reese lies a harrowing human tragedy. The enormous scale of the underground complexes required vast labor, and the Nazi regime turned to one of its most inhumane sources: forced labor from concentration camp prisoners. In 1943, a subcamp of the Gross Rosen concentration camp was established specifically to supply workers for Project Reese. Thousands of prisoners, primarily Jews, Poles, Russians, and other victims of Nazi oppression, were subjected to unbearable conditions. These laborers worked 12 to 14 hours a day in hazardous tunnels, with little to no food, water, or medical care. They drilled through solid rock using primitive tools and explosives, breathing in dust and fumes with no protection. Malnutrition, disease, exhaustion, and brutal treatment by SS guards and civilian overseers led to a staggering death toll. Estimates suggest that at least 5,000 to 13,000 workers died during the construction of Project Reese. Their bodies often buried in unmarked graves near the sites. Witnesses and surviving documents describe an atmosphere of cruelty and hopelessness. Prisoners were beaten for slowing down, executed for minor offenses, or simply worked to death. The Nazis saw them not as humans, but as expendable resources in their desperate war effort. The tragedy of Project Reese is not just in its ambition or mystery, but in the lives it consumed. Today, memorials and plaques at former tunnel entrances and camps remind visitors of the suffering endured here. These sites stand not only as relics of Nazi engineering, but as solemn warnings of unchecked tyranny. Despite the massive scale and the thousands of lives lost in its construction, The exact purpose of Project Reese remains one of World War II's enduring mysteries. No official documentation has ever been recovered to definitively explain the project's intended function, leaving historians to piece together theories based on physical evidence, survivor accounts, and Nazi wartime strategy. One prevailing theory suggests that Project Reese was to serve as a secure, bomb-proof military headquarters for Adolf Hitler and high-ranking Nazi officials. This aligns with the construction's proximity to the Führer's known residence at the Wolf's Lair and the discovery of administrative-style rooms and infrastructure deep underground. Others believe that parts of Riese were intended for advanced weapons production, especially for Wunderwaffe, or wonder weapons, such as the V-2 rocket, or possibly even more experimental technologies like the rumored Die Glocke, the bell. Some sections of the tunnels appear to have been engineered for manufacturing, with large chambers and ventilation systems capable of supporting industrial work. There is also speculation that the complex was meant as a last-ditch sanctuary, a Nazi fortress, where top leaders could retreat and continue resistance if Berlin fell. This theory gained traction after the war, especially with the discovery of luxury quarters and command areas in early excavation reports. Ultimately, the true purpose may have involved multiple goals, evolving as the war turned against Germany. Whatever its aim, Project Reese stands as a grim monument to Nazi ambition, secrecy, and the extreme lengths to which they would go in pursuit of control and survival. By late 1944 and early 1945, as Soviet forces pushed westward and the Third Reich's grip on Europe rapidly unraveled, construction on Project Reese came to an abrupt halt. Despite the massive scale of the undertaking, the complex remained incomplete. The Nazis had poured enormous resources, both human and material, into the project. But their shifting priorities and worsening military situation made its continuation impossible. The exact timeline of the project's abandonment is unclear, but by the spring of 1945, work had effectively ceased across all 7 known tunnel sites. Evidence from the area shows tools left behind, hastily evacuated barracks, and half-completed tunnels and chambers. Some areas appear to have been deliberately flooded or collapsed, either to prevent enemy use or to bury secrets deep underground. The advancing Soviet Red Army encountered portions of the Reese complex, but did not prioritize full exploration. Most of the area was quickly sealed off or forgotten as post-war borders shifted and attention turned to reconstruction and political realignment in Eastern Europe. The complex's remote location in the Owl Mountains, combined with the destruction of records, contributed to its obscurity for decades. The abandonment of Project Reese left behind a haunting legacy. Massive, echoing tunnels carved deep into the earth, never fully understood. For the thousands who suffered and died constructing it, there was no justice, only silence. For modern historians and researchers, the incomplete project serves as a reminder of the chaotic final months of Nazi Germany and the secrets that still lie buried beneath the mountains. In the aftermath of World War II, the Owl Mountains and the remains of Project Reese fell under Soviet control as part of the newly reconfigured borders of Poland. With the area now behind the Iron Curtain, access was heavily restricted, and the mystery of the tunnels remained largely uninvestigated for decades. However, rumors persisted among locals, soldiers, and amateur historians about vast underground complexes left behind by the Nazis. It wasn't until the 1970s and 1980s that serious exploration efforts began to surface. Polish historians, cavers, and researchers began probing the forests and mountains, slowly uncovering entranceways, collapsed shafts, and remnants of machinery. In particular, the Włodars, Ossowka, and Rzeczka sites emerged as focal points of investigation. While none were completed during the war, the massive scale of the construction shocked even the most seasoned researchers. During this period, legends and conspiracy theories also gained traction, ranging from buried gold and secret weapons to hidden Nazi archives. Interest spiked again in the 1990s after the fall of communism, when the area became more accessible and freer discourse allowed for open discussion of Nazi war crimes and secret projects. Civilian explorers and filmmakers began documenting their findings, giving rise to documentaries and YouTube channels dedicated to Project Reese. Today, several of the Reese tunnels have been opened to the public as historical sites and museums, but much remains unexplored. The rediscovery of these tunnels has sparked global curiosity and raised new questions about what the Nazis were truly building and hiding beneath the Owl Mountains. In recent decades, modern technology has revolutionized the study and exploration of Project Reese, allowing researchers to probe deeper into the vast underground labyrinths hidden beneath the Owl Mountains. Ground-penetrating radar, 3D mapping, and advanced geological surveys have provided new insights into the tunnel networks that were previously inaccessible or too dangerous to explore fully. Polish archaeologists and historians have partnered with international teams to conduct thorough investigations, uncovering structural details, remnants of wartime equipment, and evidence of forced labor conditions. These explorations have been supported by funding from both government sources and private organizations dedicated to preserving World War II history. One significant breakthrough came with the discovery of previously unknown chambers and passageways, suggesting that the complex may be even larger than initially thought. Researchers have also found traces of explosives, ventilation systems, and railway tracks designed to transport materials within the tunnels. These findings support theories that Project Reese was intended to serve multiple strategic purposes, possibly as a command center, weapons factory, or safe haven for Nazi leadership. Modern investigations also focus on the human aspect of the project, with forensic teams working to identify remains of forced laborers and document the harsh conditions they endured. Memorials and museums near the sites now honor the thousands who suffered and died during the tunnel construction. As technology continues to advance, Project Reese remains a compelling subject of study, blending archaeology, history, and forensic science to unlock the secrets of one of Nazi Germany's most enigmatic undertakings. Project Reese has long been shrouded in mystery, sparking a wide array of conspiracy theories and speculative narratives. The lack of official documentation, combined with the sheer scale and secrecy of the underground complex, has led many to wonder about its true purpose and the hidden agendas behind its construction. One popular theory suggests that Project Reese was intended as a secret Nazi headquarters, or even a post-war escape bunker for Adolf Hitler and other high-ranking officials. The complex's deep tunnels and reinforced chambers could have provided protection against Allied bombings and a base from which to continue resistance efforts. Another speculation revolves around secret weapons development. Some theorists argue that the Nazis planned to develop advanced technology underground, including experimental aircraft, superweapons, or even early nuclear projects. Though no conclusive evidence has been found to confirm these claims, rumors persist fueled by wartime reports of strange activities and unexplained disappearances in the area. Occult theories also surface occasionally, linking Project Reese to Nazi interest in esoteric knowledge and mysticism. These ideas are often sensationalized, connecting the site to alleged searches for mythical artifacts or supernatural powers. Despite the fascination, historians caution against jumping to conclusions without solid evidence. Most agree that the project's primary function was likely military and industrial, overshadowed by the brutal exploitation of forced labor. These speculations continue to captivate researchers and enthusiasts alike, ensuring that Project Reese remains one of the most intriguing and enigmatic legacies of Nazi Germany. Beneath the imposing tunnels and unfinished chambers of Project Reese lies a deeply human tragedy. The complex was built at the expense of thousands of forced laborers, prisoners of war, and concentration camp inmates, whose suffering often goes overshadowed by the mystery of the site itself. These men and women were subjected to brutal working conditions, starvation, disease, and relentless abuse. as they toiled in near-complete darkness. The workers came from diverse backgrounds: Poles, Ukrainians, Russians, and other nationalities, rounded up by the Nazis and transported to the Owl Mountains. Many had little hope of survival. They were treated as expendable labor, forced to dig and carve massive underground halls using only hand tools and rudimentary explosives. The harsh mountain climate, combined with inadequate shelter and meager rations, resulted in countless deaths. Eyewitness accounts and survivor testimonies reveal the horrors of this forced labor. Some prisoners were executed for minor infractions, while others succumbed to exhaustion and malnutrition. Mass graves found near the tunnels bear silent witness to the human cost. Despite decades of research, many names and stories remain unknown, lost in the shadows of history. Today, memorials at the Reese sites serve as poignant reminders of those who suffered and died in pursuit of a secretive war machine. The human story behind Project Reese is a powerful testament to resilience and a somber warning about the depths of cruelty under totalitarian regimes. Remembering these lives is essential to understanding the true cost of Nazi ambitions. Today, Project Reese stands as both a monument to Nazi ambition and a somber memorial to those who suffered and died during its construction. Preserving this complex is crucial for understanding a dark chapter in human history, as well as educating future generations about the consequences of totalitarianism and war. Over the decades, Polish authorities and historians have worked to protect and restore sections of the tunnels and underground chambers. Several sites within the Owl Mountains have been opened to the public as museums, offering guided tours that provide historical context and reveal the harsh realities faced by forced laborers. These museums strive to balance the mystery and intrigue surrounding the project with a respectful remembrance of the victims. Preservation efforts are complicated by the site's sheer scale, the fragility of the tunnels, and lingering dangers such as unexploded ordnance and unstable structures. Additionally, the harsh mountain environment accelerates decay, making ongoing maintenance essential. International cooperation between historians, archaeologists, and conservationists has played a key role in uncovering new information about Project Reese. Modern technologies such as 3D scanning, drone surveys, and ground-penetrating radar are employed to map and document the underground complex more thoroughly than ever before. Archival research continues to shed light on the project's true purpose, construction methods, and human cost, ensuring the story remains accessible and truthful. Preserving Project Reese is not just about maintaining physical structures. It is about safeguarding memory. Through education and remembrance, it stands as a lasting testament to resilience, tragedy, and the imperative to confront history honestly. Beneath the rugged Owl Mountains, Project Reese remains one of the most enigmatic and haunting remnants of Nazi Germany. Its unfinished tunnels, carved through cruelty and secrecy, stand as a silent witness to ambition gone unchecked. Thousands of forced laborers died creating a labyrinth whose true purpose was never revealed. Was it a bunker, a weapons lab, or something more sinister? Today, as historians and explorers venture into its depths, they uncover not just concrete and rock, but echoes of suffering, resilience, and unanswered questions. Remembering Reese is not about glorifying mystery, but honoring the lives lost beneath its shadow.